I don't want to get into it. I'll just skip that. I was in the computer business from 89 to 99, and then in the 2000s, built a real estate network of sites for about 165,000 realtors. So I had a lot of experience working with small businesses, essentially. And then in 2008, started Dosta. And what Dosta is a white label, reputation, presence, and social media management platform. And we actually have 150,000 small businesses now through our network of partners. So we provide our platform as a software as a service to our partners. So we never sell direct to small, medium businesses. So it's a SaaS-based platform. And so we don't make money unless our partners make money and sell to their small, medium businesses. So today what I wanted to talk about was how you can sell digital products to the small businesses that are already your customers. Incremental digital products on top of the products you already sell, and how to do that. And I wanted to go through some lessons learned. So let's move on here. So first off, why would you want to sell digital products? Well, I have a whole talk on this subject, but I just want to touch on it here right now. How many of you heard of the zero moment of truth? Probably everybody or nobody? Okay, so what is this moment of truth? So it's an idea that the folks at Google came up with, but in the past, when you spent money on advertising or there was some stimulus and a consumer saw it, the moment of truth would be when they would purchase something in the store. That's the moment of truth. Did the advertising work or did it not work? So there's a new idea now called the zero moment of truth. Whenever there's a stimulus, if somebody sees an ad, they feel like they want to buy something or they want to do something, what's the first thing they do? Well, they pull out their phone. Or they go to their computer and they research it. And so now, before they've ever gone in the store, they've made a decision, or before they've ever purchased anything, they've made a decision what they're going to do. They read online reviews, they look at opinions of others, they ask their friends, they search online. It's not really different. In the past, everyone did that in an offline way, but now they do it online. And so that's called the zero moment of truth. And then they go in the store and they buy it, and that's the first moment of truth. And then they take it and they talk about it in social media, and that becomes someone else's zero moment of truth. So it's a new mental model, and that's really what drives this change to digital. And the further thing now is that your brand as a business, which is really important, it's your reputation, it's really not what you say it is anymore. Back in the old days, when I was in the computer business in the 90s, there was no easy way for people to understand what the brand was. The word of mouth travels quite slowly. So, I could write an ad, a radio ad, a paper ad, a newspaper ad, and say, hey, this is what we want our brand to be. We could define it, and then we could, print it or put it out on the radio and put it on TV and send it out to everybody and say, this is our brand, this is what we are, and that's what our brand would be. But nowadays, your brand really becomes what other people say. Consumers have an equal voice, and they can participate online. They can write a review, they can write a blog post, they can tweet, they can check in on Foursquare and leave a tip. So your brand is no longer your own. So you have to really participate. So because of that, spending of small businesses is changing, and digital is growing. Now, I don't like these kind of big charts that are hard to read, but all I want to show here is the compound annual growth rate of digital is growing while traditional advertising is shrinking. And so really, what is selling digital? Well, it's selling digital products. That's what digital agency is. And if you look, there's a mind-boggling array of things that consumers and businesses would use. So really the question is, should you do digital agency? I guess some of my slides are cut off, so I apologize. So should you do digital agencies? Well, a lot of people have already made the transition. So you've got newspapers, verticals, radio, YP, they're all starting to sell digital products. If you don't sell digital products to your small businesses, somebody will do it. So you really don't have a choice, I don't think. And so we've got I want to talk about some of our success stories. So in the newspaper space, Hearst, Gannett, McClatchy, Propel, these are companies you may or may not know, but they've all made successful transitions to digital, and they're pushing ahead and doing some pretty cool things. We've really done well in verticals. So the multi-tenant family space, which is like apartments.com, homes.com, Digital Sherpa, RentPath. Those guys have all taken digital products and bundled them in to their offering, which they deliver to their advertisers. So their advertiser, while they're advertising their apartment online, also has an array of other things. They can see all the reviews about their business. They can do all the things that our product does. and other products, you know. So, you know, we do like I say, we do reputation, presence, and social media, but I'm talking about all the products. So whether it's SEM, websites, blogs, anything that you might sell to a digital agency. Also in the auto space, we've done quite well. So here's some lessons that we've learned that I want to talk about today, and I hope we can take something of value out of here. Really, there's 3 things when you're selling digital to small businesses that you have to consider that are going to make or break you. And there's no right or wrong answer. You have to know what your products are. You have to understand your sales force and how you can sell it. And then you have to figure out pricing and bundling. So I wanted to start with the product first, with the mix. And again, all these things rely on each other. So if you have, when we get to the sales part, you'll see that you can change your product mix depending on what kind of sales force you choose. But for a product mix, I would suggest to start with that it has to be easy. You have to pick products that are super easy to sell and that have margin. So some products like SEM, you know, it's fairly maybe easy to sell, but it's really hard to explain and it's really hard to prove, and there's lots of, and I'm not saying don't sell it, I'm just saying it's not an easy product to sell. And even a website's not easy to sell. Try to get the content from that small business to build that website. It's super hard. So in our case, and this is a bit where I get to pitch our products, all we need for our product is a phone number. And that phone number will then provide the reputation platform, which tells the business where it's listed, where it's not listed. Is it on Bing, Yahoo, Google? Is it on Yelp? Is it on all the Yellow Page sites? Is it on all the social sites? And is that data correct? And if it's not correct, it'll help to fix it by syndicating that data out to all the thousands of places on the internet that people look at and get that data correct so that when someone Googles a restaurant, that they'll show up. We also then provide the reviews and you know, tweets and compare them to their competition. I don't want to get into the product. I just want to show you that all we need is a phone number to make that happen. So it's really easy to provision and sell. So there's lots of products like that. So I think you should pick products that are easy to sell and they're sort of foundational to the business. The second thing I want to talk about is DIY versus diplom. I don't know if everyone knows what those are, but in this business, we talk about it a lot. DIY is do it yourself, and diplom is do it for me. So we've all, one thing that I know this chart's hard to read, but if you look, what's most important, 80% of people say they want self-serve. This is compared to all the things that small businesses, Kelsey did this survey. They said, as a small business, what do you want? They said, well, we want a return on investment. We want keyword assistance. We want SEO assistance. We want to track leads. We need traffic reports. We want to purchase social. We want info our competitors. We want to purchase mobile. But the number one thing was they wanted to be able to do it themselves. So that's really interesting because we all know they don't do it themselves. They won't. They can't. They don't know how. And they're busy and they're time starved. So it's a very small group of people that actually do it themselves. So, I think that you guys always need to choose products. When you're evaluating a product that you want to sell to a small business, you have to make sure that it does have a do-it-yourself component, but you want to make sure that you can do it for them if they need that at a value-added price. So I think you really need both. So what else have we learned? Well, you need to have a scalable integrated tools. So we've seen many of our partners stumble because they've chosen products that just simply couldn't scale. So, they were posting on behalf of people to Twitter and Facebook and Foursquare and Google+, and they're using a spreadsheet. And they're trying to do these kinds of things using a tool like Hootsuite or something like that. So you need to make sure that you have scalable, integrated products. So that's another evaluation point. So that's the product mix. What about the sales force? So choosing traditional reps. So you can use your existing sales force to sell these digital products, or you can go out and hire, a digital-only sales force. So let's talk about the traditional sales force first. It's going to be really hard because they're going to be resistant to selling digital. They're just not going to get it, right? They're used to selling what they sell, and the commission structure doesn't even carry forward. So sales reps, in my experience at least, they only do what they're paid to do. That's it. So if you don't pay them to sell digital, they won't sell digital. And that's really tough when you're trying to work with a traditional sales force and you're saying, oh, hey, I'm used to selling a $10,000 full-page ad, and I want you now to sell this $49 a month product that you get to make $5 a month on. That, by the way, is going to be hard to explain and hard to sell, and he's not going to do it, right? So So how does that work? And I'm going to come back to traditional because it can work. Again, I want to keep reiterating there is no right or wrong way here. I've seen all of them work now. So with a digital sales force, you're going to have different challenges. It's going to be tough to hire. You're going to have to hire all new folks. They're a different breed of folks. They're not the people you're used to. There's going to be competition for that skill set, you know, of these new breed of folks. Maybe you want to do telesales. That might be new to you. Might not be. And you might want them to work together. So first, let me talk about traditional and how that works. So McClatchy, for instance, is a sales force that decided they were going to use their traditional sales force. So what did we do? You know, and because we're a SaaS-based product, we only make money if they make money. So they had a bundle. We're just 3 products in a bundle of, you know, 10 or 15 products. But it wasn't selling the way we needed it to sell. So we actually took people in market to figure out what's going on. So what we found is, and this is over time with, you know, with a combination of people, the folks at Gatehouse Propel, McClatchy, and BH Media, which is Berkshire Hathaway. What we found how to make that work is that we would have the our sales trainer go in, train their salespeople for a day. Then we'd have a seminar where we would bring in a ton of small businesses, as many as they could get. They would pre-advertise that, fill the room. We would do basically a sales pitch for them to that group and then see how many we could close. And we could close anywhere from 20 to 60% of that room. And then the next day, the sales manager would go with our guy on the road and make 4 real calls to real customers and try to close 3 of those 4. And that would be per market. So in order to make a traditional sales force work, that's the kind of effort and commitment that you have to do, and it's huge. So you really have to go and get in market and get down and dirty and go and sell those products. And so we've done that with McClatchy market by market, and it's been fantastic for us. So I know that traditional reps can sell. There's another thing about bundling we'll get to that makes it easier too. On the other side, we've got KSL. Has anyone heard of KSL? They're out of Utah. Clayton Christensen, Innovator's Dilemma. He's a Harvard guy, and you know he writes that you need a digital-only sales force, and that's his sort of his philosophy, that digital-only is the way to go. So that works too. So you can have a digital-only sales force where you hire straight digital, and they actually compete against the traditional, and you don't worry about cannibalization. You just go at it and you sell. And they even sometimes sell. The digital-only guys get to sell some of the print products, and the print guys can't sell the digital, so it's a kind of a flip. But so there's that model, and that can work too. Then there's the hybrid model, which I think most people are starting to do. And this is the one that Hearst does. So I don't know if any of you know Jeff Falcomer out of Local Edge, out of Buffalo, but he has a platform with about, I think there's 22 products in it. We're 3 of those products. We like to think we're an important 3 of those products, the foundational products. And what he does is when he actually sells the Hearst platform to other partners. So he'll sign up, you know, Dallas Morning News or some of the other, you know, who else? Morris Digital uses the Hearst platform, sort of the Fairfax in Australia. So he will go into the market and say, you need to hire a digital sales force and also train the traditional sales force together. And then they actually sort of act in concert, and they have about 3-to-1 ratio. So for every 3 traditional reps, there'll be a digital rep, and they'll work together and try to sell there. And that's also a good model. So I'm just pointing out that any of these models can work. You just have to put the effort and the time in and find out how to make it work. So pricing and bundling. What happens here? So you know, we've seen our partners that have bundled do really well because it increases the value of the traditional offering. A lot of times, you know, especially if the price points are disparate. You know, so digital costs a lot less than traditional. I'll give you a story. I remember when we first signed the Morris Digital before they went to the Hearst platform, so they were our customer, and they were still our customer through Hearst. But I went to Jacksonville Times Union, and this was early on in the day. We had been selling to Yellow Page companies mostly, and they, you know, they only call on their customers once a year. That's it, right? They come in once a year and say, okay, you got to buy this stuff. Yeah, it's going to be in the phone book. We're going to print it, and that's it. So they were starting to, and they sell a lot of digital products too, and they sell them at a low price as a DIY, and that's how they work. And so they'll come in and say, hey, buy a $99 bundle. You're going to have these things in here, and sell that product set that way. So we were selling our product at a quite low cost per location. So newspapers were fairly new to us, and we were just starting to light them all up. And I went to Morris Digital and Jacksonville Times-Union, and we did the training. You know, they started to sell the product, and they were saying how good it was and how happy they were. And a month later, I checked, and it's like 25 accounts. Oh, wow. Phone them up. How's it going? Oh, it's going fantastic. This is great. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that next month, they have 35 accounts. And, we were charging them at that time like $8 per account per location. So it's not a lot of money for us. And they said, yeah, it's fantastic. And I said, well, so I started asking questions. They were selling it for $1,000 a month. And so we've had to learn to change the pricing model. So what we learned here is that a sales rep at a newspaper who's used to calling on a car dealer, and making a big sale is not going to get in his car and drive out and make a sale unless the product's priced at least $500 a month, and usually on a yearly contract. So that has to be a $6,000 sale, or he's just not going to do it. So this is what I'm trying to point out here is that you really, really need to figure out how to price your product in a bundle or separately. And if you do put it in a bundle, it does make it easier for traditional reps to sell. Sometimes they don't sell it just because they don't get it. They don't understand it. Nobody wants to sell something they might get asked a question on. But if they can say, it's part of the bundle, then the customer at the other end, as long as it's a great product, the small business will rely on that product, especially one like reputation management, where every week they get an email that says, hey, look what somebody said about you. Look what a review was written. Look where your phone number is wrong in Google+. Those are the kind of products that will keep your customers and reduce churn. So I was just going to mention a little Jeff Shabram. He's BH Media. So Berkshire Hathaway. I don't know if you guys know, but they've been buying papers like crazy. So Warren Buffett's on a acquisition binge. He'll buy any paper he can get his hands on. And he takes these papers and basically reinvents them by having them start to sell digital products. And so it's been really great for us. They've been a fantastic partner because they come into a paper that's just been struggling, maybe losing money, and he buys it, and then totally revitalizes it. And Jeff's point is that he's watched lots and lots of folks selling digital products and making no money, like especially SEM. And I don't want to pick on SEM, but Google AdWords, I mean, it's great to sell, and I think you have to. Perfect, I'm right on time. But but you don't make a lot of money, and so you put a ton of effort into there. Do you really want to do that? Like, maybe sell products first that you make money on, if that's a lesson you can learn. There's the full range of services. I wouldn't go here. It's kind of like they say the Holy Grail, but Digital First Media, ad taxi out of Denver, they provide everything, and they do a fantastic job. And they use our products for some of the stuff, but they won't sell to a customer that has less than $3,000 to $6,000 spend a month, so or higher for these digital services. So they really do everything. They're basically the marketing department. I think you have to work your way up to that. There's a lot that goes with that. Lastly, let them buy when they're ready. So I was just going to tell a quick story here. So one of the things that we do that I think is really cool and is starting to become a game changer is we allow the small business to buy when they're ready. And what does that mean? Well, I'm going to go back to when I was in the computer business. I had I used to advertise our store, and I would spend $20,000 on a full-page ad in two cities, Regina and Saskatoon. I know that sounds funny. And then I would, because I'd spent all that money, that was as much money as I made in a year sometimes at that time, I would ask all my friends, did you see my ad? Did you see my ad? And invariably they'd say, no, I didn't see it. Except for one or two who would say, yeah, I was looking for a computer, so I saw the ad and I bought a computer. And I've come to learn that people only see the ad when they want the thing. So you're like blind to it unless you actually want to buy it. So then roll on, 1999, start working at Point 2. It was like we were building stuff for Caterpillar. We built the used global trading system. It's a heavy equipment thing. And then we thought that real estate was a lot like heavy equipment, so we started to build this websites for realtors that they could control. And so I spent a year I was the one to head this up, the COO, and I was building this wonderful website. And I built it for a year, and they said, how can we roll it out to people? How can we get it to people? And we said, well, we'll make 100 free websites. We'll make 100 in Atlanta, 100 in Denver, and 100 in Edmonton. And we'll pre-populate with all the listings, and we'll show these realtors that have been saying, hey, I can't take down my listing. It costs me money every time I want to make a change. I really need a better website. And we'll just give it to them for free, as long as they tell us their experience. So, we did that. We made these 100 sites. We called them all, a team of people. And you know how many sites I could give away for free to 100 realtors in any city? Can anyone guess? 3. So now I spent a couple $1 million, built this product. Can't give it away for free. Can't go to the CEO and tell him that. So what did we do? Well, it was 2002. So we went to realtor.org, which had 1.2 million realtors on there. We crawled their email addresses and we spammed them every week. And because you could back then. And we basically put them in the system. And we just gave them an email every week. And what happened, and let them sign up on their own. And what happened was, first we had 10 a day, and then we had 20 a day, and soon we had 100 a day. And so, when I left, we had 165,000 realtors using that product, and a good chunk of them had upgraded to a premium product, and it sold successfully to Yardi. So what we've done now, on the digital side with some of our partners, is we're saying, hey, all of your people need a foundational product that lets them take their common set of data and connect it to all the listing websites that are out there, including Facebook, Foursquare, Google+, Twitter, LinkedIn, and then all the publishing sites like yellowpages.com and Yelp and Yext and all these places, and give it to them for free. So when people are, I think it's we'll see how this goes, but it seems to be working pretty good. So when the people make a sales call, even if you don't sell anything, you leave that small business with something. And then when they're ready, and when they want something, and when they get a bad review, or when somebody tweets bad about them, they say, geez, I want that product, then they can get the product. So that's another lesson, is to let people buy when they're ready. And so really, that's all I really had to say. I think if you guys don't do it, somebody else will. So that's all.
Brendan, thank you.